Getting and staying on track with your money not only helps with your monthly budget, it also helps open doors for your future. That is definitely the case once you've decided to become a homeowner. Debbie Jones is the manager of housing and counseling with Apprisen Financial Advocates, and she's here with some great advice. Debbie, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
We were talking earlier about the fact that if people can buy a home, it is a good time to buy a home, and why?
Well, it's a good time to buy a home because, first off, the rates are low, at an all-time low. And if you have a fixed rate, you're going to be locked into a monthly payment that should be reasonable for you.
But before you make that decision, there are things that people really have to, they can't take this decision lightly. It's something you have to plan for.
Absolutely. You have to, first of all, just determine what type of a home that you want to purchase. Maybe just look at different neighborhoods. Determine what is important to you as a homeowner. Is transportation, is it going to be easily accessible to your place of employment? Are you going to be able to afford the house? By terms of affording the property or the home, you have to look at what your expenses are currently as a renter and then determine if you have the ability or the income amount to be able to afford a home, or if your expenses are going to be increased. So if that's the case, if your expenses are going to be increased, then you probably are going to have to make some cuts or some reductions in your budget to be able to afford that home in the future.
A lot of folks got into problems with foreclosure, as we saw these last 3 or 4 years, because of the fact that they got into a home that they realized was over their head as far as budget. They couldn't afford it, even though people were telling them that they could. So we've learned a lesson, I think. What are some things that people should consider for them to figure out, can I really afford this property?
Well, as I said, they want to really look at some of the areas and decide what is it that you want in a house. Are you going to be living in there? Is this a short-term situation, or is other individuals going to be living in the home with you? Are you going to have to make special accommodations for some of the individuals that will be living in the house? Are you projecting that your family size is going to increase?
And how much should people budget to pay for that house payment every month? What % of their take-home income?
Well, the first thing you have to do is look at your actual budget and determine how much money that you're bringing in and how much your expenses are totaling out every month. And then you can determine exactly about amount that you would be able to budget in for savings. And I would anticipate that, realistically speaking, that you would want to budget in at least 10% on a savings account. But if that's not a realistic approach for an individual, maybe you might want to budget in about 2% of your income or 3% of your income. But whatever it is, just be consistent with that. When you are budgeting out, you have to factor in moving costs, what your mortgage payment is going to be, connecting the utilities, the home inspection, the cost of an appraisal. All of these have to be factored in when you're making that decision to buy and when
appraisers, real estate agents, loan officers, all those things cost money, especially at the very beginning. So what if someone looks at their budget and then they realize, I can't afford a house now? How can you guide them to save a little bit so that in the end they can buy a home?
Well, first of all, you want to, as I said before, you want to look at your expenses and determine how much, if you have any available income left over after paying out all of your bills. If you don't, then you just have to make some cuts into your budget. And that's a situation where you want to involve the whole family. Make this a family project by saying that, look, let's make sure that we're only paying or spending on things that are most important to the family as opposed to just spending out for just incidentals, and make the commitment to put aside money every month because your goal and your expectation is to be a homeowner.
That's funny because last week the representative from Apprisen said the same thing, that buying a home or saving or anything that involves a budget should involve the whole family. And I suppose if your children want to think about what it takes to buy a home, this is a great lesson for them.
Absolutely.
We also talked about looking at neighborhoods. When you look at neighborhoods, should people look for resale value in that too?
Absolutely. And that's where a real estate agent would probably help with that, because he can give you or she can give you some information on recent activity in terms of a typical buyer in the area, what some of the other properties are selling for, and just some general guidance on maybe if there's some down payment assistance programs that are available to you as well.
Debbie, this has been great information, and hopefully more folks can make that purchase this year. Thank you.
Thank you.